Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the confusing world of finance and tell you what it really means. Today we're diving into Finward Bancorp's latest report, and let's just say they're giving out a little something special. Now, before we get carried away with the good news, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of our deep dives, and join our Discord below to chat with fellow finance enthusiasts. Finward Bancorp itself is a holding company, and what that really means is it owns other companies. In this case, their main player is People's Bank. Think of Finward as the parent and People's Bank as its most important child. This report, a Form 8K, is like a special bulletin telling us about something important that just happened. And what happened on August 15th, 2025 was pretty straightforward. The big bosses at Finward Bancorp, their board of directors, decided to give a little something back to their shareholders. They declared a dividend. Now, a dividend is basically a company sharing its profits with its owners, the shareholders. It's like getting a little bonus for owning a piece of the company. This dividend is set at 12 cents for every single share of Finward's common stock. So when do shareholders actually get this money? It's scheduled to be paid out on September 12th of 2025. But here's the catch, and it's an important one. To get this dividend, you need to be on the company's books as a shareholder by August 29th, 2025. This date is called the record date. If you buy shares after that date, you sadly won't be getting this particular dividend payment. It's all about who officially owns the stock on that specific day. The company's main product, if you can call it that, is its common stock. This is what most people think of when they hear about owning a piece of a company. And where can you buy and sell these shares? Well, Finward Bancorp's common stock is traded on the Nasdaq stock market. Nasdaq is one of the biggest and most well-known stock exchanges in the world, where publicly traded companies have their shares bought and sold by investors. Now, like most companies, Finward includes a section warning about forward-looking statements. This is super important to pay attention to. What they mean is that some of the things they might say or imply in this report could be about future predictions. They use words like anticipate, plan, or will to signal these future-looking statements. The company is essentially saying, hey, we're telling you what we think might happen, but things could change, so don't sue us if our predictions don't come true. This is their disclaimer. They believe their guesses about the future are probably right, but they make it clear that the actual results could be quite different. This is a standard practice to protect themselves legally, and it's why you should always be a little skeptical of predictions in financial reports. This is where things get really interesting and a bit complicated. Finward's bank, People's Bank, has an agreement or a memorandum of understanding with some important regulators. These regulators are the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, and the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions, or DFI. And within this agreement, there's a specific rule. The bank cannot pay cash dividends without getting permission from these regulators first. This is a significant restriction. Now let's connect this to the dividend declared on August 15th. Finward Bancorp, the holding company, declared a dividend on its stock. This is a crucial distinction. The restriction we just talked about applied to the bank paying dividends. It seems what Finward Bancorp did was declare a dividend from the holding company level, not directly from the bank's earnings that might be tied up by that regulatory agreement. The report also lists potential risks. One big one is the bank's ability to show it's following the rules outlined in that memorandum of understanding with the FDIC and DFI. If they can't prove they're meeting these terms, or if they don't do it within the time allowed, it could cause problems. Another risk they're watching is changes in asset quality and credit risk. Basically, this means they're concerned about the value of the money and loans they have and whether people will actually pay back the money they owe. If borrowers start defaulting more, it directly hurts the bank's health. They also point out the risk of not being able to keep growing their income and profits. Simply put, if sales or earnings start to flatline or go down, that's a major concern for any business. Interest rates and how the financial markets are performing are also big factors. When interest rates go up, it can make borrowing money more expensive for customers and affect how much the bank can earn on its loans and investments. And speaking of customers, their habits matter a lot. How much people borrow, how they pay it back, and how they save their money all impact the bank's business. And of course, the overall economic situation plays a massive role. A recession or even just a slowdown can make everything tougher for a bank. This report also says they're including a press release about this dividend. These press releases are often how companies first announce news like this to the public. And there's also a mention of an interactive data file. This is basically structured data that makes it easier for computers and analysts to read and process the information in the filing, especially for things like financial statements. The report is signed off by Benjamin L. Smith, who holds a rather important sounding title, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer. He's the guy in charge of the company's money and its financial reporting. His signature here, along with his title, confirms that this report is official and has been reviewed by key financial personnel. So what's the big story here? Finward Bancorp, through its holding company structure, managed to declare a dividend for its shareholders. This is positive news for investors who like to receive direct income from their investments. However, the context of that memorandum of understanding with the regulators, specifically for People's Bank, is critical. While Finward as a holding company could declare this dividend, the bank itself might still be restricted. This dividend from the holding company avoids the direct prohibition on the bank paying dividends without regulatory approval. It suggests a strategy of operating at the holding company level to provide shareholder returns while likely still navigating those regulatory agreements at the bank level. We don't have the full financial numbers from a table in this particular 8K filing, but the announcement of a dividend, especially when there are known regulatory constraints like the ones mentioned, is always noteworthy. It shows a focus on returning capital to shareholders, which can be a sign of confidence from management, but it also highlights the tightrope they might be walking with banking regulators. The risks mentioned, like asset quality and credit risk, are standard for banks but are always worth keeping an eye on, especially in uncertain economic times. Looking at it from a high level, Finward is taking a step to reward its investors, which is generally a good thing. However, the underlying operational health of People's Bank and its relationship with regulators are the real keys to their long-term success. If the bank can demonstrate compliance and strengthen its financial footing, then these dividends are sustainable. If not, future payouts could be uncertain. It's a balancing act between shareholder appeasement and regulatory compliance. Alright, that's our breakdown of Finward Bancorp's latest filing. What's your take on this dividend announcement and the regulatory dance they seem to be doing? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into the corporate world. And don't forget to join our Discord community linked in the description to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Decode.